Welcome back to another episode of BHAW Radio. We're at episode 65. I'm your host, Brian Rowan. Tyler McLeese is back on co-hosting. He did such a good job last week with Bobby's episode. We invited him back. He's fired up. We got on Coach Ward. Welcome to the show, Coach.
What's up, fellas? It's good to be with you.
Great to have you on. So you landed about a couple hours ago. You're back at West Point now?
Back at West Point. Just got back home just a couple hours ago. And so it was a busy weekend, a 4 or 5 day road trip, a lot of wrestling going on, so a lot to cover. I didn't want to wait another day to get on and talk about it. So I know you guys got some questions. I don't know if fans have some questions, but I always like talking Army wrestling. We had a busy weekend and a lot to talk about, so didn't want to miss the chance.
Oh yeah, and so listeners know out there, Tyler has 2 pages of notes that he took in preparation for this. I'm fired up.
So B-Row's dying me out a little bit. B-Row said he needed a co-host. He hit me up. I just wanted to make sure I came prepared. Normally he sends out the notes, but he didn't do it this time. So I was like, well, I'll just throw out some talking points.
Which may be surprising for most listeners that B-Row actually tries to prepare for these things.
Yeah, you can't tell from listening, but when you get behind the scenes, he does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But I will say though, in your notes, you went weight class by weight class. You didn't put anything for heavyweight.
Yeah, I figure once we get to heavyweight, we kind of know. Ben Sullivan's match was pretty well. I mean, Ben Sullivan's match at heavyweight was pretty memorable, so I didn't really need to take any notes. I kind of know what to talk about when we get there. They're just they're not really notes, but just like reference points from the matches that I kind of want to talk about.
What he's saying, B-Row, is he hopes that you're taking notes while he's doing this. That's what he's saying.
No, I agree with those notes. And honestly, so I talked about it in last week's episode. The group text with me, him, and Logan Everett is all the notes I needed. So I can scroll through it. There's probably been 500 text messages between Saturday and today. Right? All right. All Army wrestling related.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So you guys hit the road. You get down there. It looked like you guys left pretty early Thursday morning on Thanksgiving. So I guess talk to us a little bit about the travel. Any kind of the ins and outs, logistics stuff first before we get into.
The logistics. It was a pretty smooth trip. We left West Point like 6:30 in the morning on Thanksgiving Day to make sure we got out there. Shout out to our crews at Newark Airport for United. They were awesome. So we had zero issues at all. They checked us in, walked us right up to to security, got us through there pretty quick. I mean, it was like the most painless travel for a group of, I think we had 26, 28 people traveling. The most painless commercial travel for a group that size that you could ask for. Easy travel on the way out there. We flew into Des Moines. We got a bus, took us up to Ames, and we hung out in Ames for a few days. So we got there on Thursday. We had a workout Thursday night. And then a workout again on Friday before dual meet on Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
I appreciated the travel trivia too, because there were some things I didn't know. I thought I knew everything about Army wrestling, but I did not know that JT Brown's favorite place to eat is Dunkin' Donuts in an airport.
So who would have thought?
It was. I had guessed Starbucks.
No, JT. He's got the look. He's jacked. He's got the tats and the chains.
Yeah.
He's like a sweetheart, And so like when
I'm probably gonna get some flack for this take, but like JT in civilian clothes, he's got his tattoos and his chains. He's in dress gray with his glasses on. You would never know. It's like a Clark Kent Superman situation going on when he like transforms, going from cadet to the JT that we know.
No, he's listen. I know him pretty well, obviously, but he's just the same guy. He just knows how to button it up and clean up when he has to. So, he's a Dunkin' Donuts guy. Who would have thought? Brian Chauvin is a Lions fan. And,
that's a rough day for him, man.
Yeah, that was tough. And Dalton Harkins. I don't know what Dalton was doing on there other than saying, follow me on Instagram. So
I followed him. So
so it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out for him.
All right, maybe next road trip we'll have to do terminal trivia again.
When Princeton did the terminal technique videos, that was so funny. I
It's
was
a good idea.
rolling. It was so they put the headgear on, like
I would have loved to have done that, but like I couldn't just plagiarize like that. So
yeah, you got to come over. But the Turnpike or the trivia was original. It's informative for the fans too. So
all right, we'll get some more of it out there.
Yeah. Coach, if you want to get into Iowa State a little bit, if you want to hit on any things that you thought did well, I just want to talk wave tops, and then based on how your answer goes, I'll talk some specifics that we saw and talk some specifics Army wrestling.
I'll tell you what I told the team in the locker room afterwards is some real positive things to take away. Listen, Dalton Harkins is a freshman stepping out there, leading off the dual meet, getting a win on the road in his first dual meet start. Good for him. So that was a real positive thing. Sullivan, Ben Sullivan at heavyweight, it's impossible for a heavyweight to come back from being down 6-0 without getting some back points or a couple stall calls. He got neither in that match and came back and won from being down 6-0. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's a really good job there. And Ogun Sanya beating a returning All-American. Close score, but pretty handedly in the match, was never really threatened. But that's a really tough opponent, like one you can't prepare for. You have to wrestle that guy to know what it feels like, because there's nobody else that you can wrestle that's 6'2" at 149 pounds that has the skills that guy has. He's a really tough opponent. So some real positive takeaways. And listen, we were in some other matches, as I think back on it. 41 is one of those that I feel like just kind of, man, we had that for the taking. We really did not get the benefit of competent officiating there on that near fall.
Yeah.
And could have been a 4 count, we end up getting 0. But I think, if Julian's mindset's a little bit different, he pins the guy there and you don't have to worry about it. But you got to remember, Julian's basically a freshman, had no season last year. So he's learning, he's learning this stuff right now. So we're not down on him, but I thought it was a winnable match. I thought 74 was very winnable. I thought 84 and 97 coming down to the last minute, so we learned a lot. Like, you got to build, if a match comes down to the last minute, you're good enough to win it. It's not a difference of who's better. It's a difference of who wrestles better. It's not like that person's a better wrestler. They were just better that match. Yeah. We weren't good enough in those matches. We had opportunities. The matches were within reach. We didn't get it done in a few matches. So, that's on all of us to make sure that we make improvements that we have to do to get better there.
Yeah. And you talked about 84 a little bit. I really like Brad Laughlin at 84. I think he looks filled out. He looks good. One of the things I think he's doing so far, he looks kind of like he's wrestling like he thinks he's a 74 pounder. Like he's really staying on the outside, like good hand fighting, and he's going for ankle picks. I thought Brad looked really good. Well, one in Journeyman against Charles Small, I thought he had some really good shots there. And I kind of understood against Aaron Brooks at Penn State, like that's an uphill battle. Against Marcus Coleman, who beat Taylor Vance already, who's a 4-time national qualifier and an All-American for people who don't know. The kid that he wrestled was good. And in the second period, Marcus Coleman had a really nice shot, and Brad got super heavy with his hips and had an awesome reattack. And from there, I thought Brad, that was like a coming out moment for him at 184, because he's a strong guy at the weight class. And I'd like to see more of him getting to his offense and really committing on shots, because one, I think he has the gas tank to, if he needs to give up a takedown in the first period to get his offense going, you've seen, he can wrestle in the last minute of the match. If he needs a takedown with 30 seconds left, he can get it. So I kind of wanted your thoughts on that, because he's sticking very to a ankle pick type stuff. I don't know if that's typically how he wrestles, but what do you see from him, and what do you think moving forward can really open up his offense?
No, I think he's wrestled so far this year, quite a bit better than he was a year ago. And he's, he's really close on matches this weekend. Yeah, the match with Aaron Brooks with the, there's a gap there between us and Brooks right now.
He didn't look bad. He was scrapping with Brooks.
Yeah, he was scrapping. But the match kind of got out of hand. But okay, so there's work to do to close the gap. Whatever. There's no shame in that. This weekend, there's no gap between him and the opponents he had this weekend. There was a gap in execution, maybe a gap in mindset. But yeah, I think Brad knows what he's really good at. Or I think so. I think I know what he's really good at. And he got to some of those positions. They didn't translate into points. And it looked like what it looks like from the outside is maybe a little bit surprised that he got to the leg.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised I'm standing behind this guy right now. And there's some hesitation there. I don't know if he didn't expect to be there. Is he a little bit surprised he got there? But the bottom line is you got to eliminate that hesitation. Matter of fact, it's got to be the opposite of hesitation. It's got to be an increase in speed and intensity when you get to scoring positions. Where right now we're getting to scoring positions and then it's actually going the other way. We're decelerating. So we're going to make some adjustments there. I'm going to be working with Brad personally a lot over this next 7 or 10 days, just to help him identify some areas that he can improve in. But we like what we've seen. He's our guy, and like he's going to continue to get better because he's not afraid to work. He's a tough guy. He's coming off a stretch where, okay, he went and wrestled in 3 tough environments. And guess what, man? If it didn't go his way, the sun came up, and he's learning that it's not the end of the world. Sun comes up tomorrow and go back to work, and make some improvements. But yeah, I like what I've seen out of Brad so far.
Yeah, I think the competition that he's gotten this early in the year is going to be especially good for him because he was super competitive in those 2 matches this weekend. He's
right.
Honestly right there knocking on the door to beating, top 10 guys.
Yeah, legit.
Was there any specific messaging? I mean, he was right in that match in Iowa State, and I was going to hit on the hesitation part on on that takedown. It just seemed like he got to there and just why aren't you coming up on the leg and like coming across? And I felt like that was a lot of momentum going in the third period, and then he just kind of didn't really have a sense of urgency to get out in the third period for the first minute, and then it was like, not that it was too late, but it was like he was like a bat out of hell, when he finally got that escape. Once riding time was already locked up.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair analysis, from a fan's perspective. I don't ever forget how freaking hard it is when you're out there. That's easy to forget when you're sitting on the sidelines watching. So it's easy to be critical, and that's fair. Like if you step out there, you open yourself up to some criticism. Yeah, he wants to do better. And for whatever reason, there's a little hesitation or deceleration when he got a couple scoring positions. That's it. Urgency on bottom, we need more of it for sure. We got stall ridden to death by both of those teams. They're both really good at it. It's obvious when both of those teams have a couple guys that like to turn you, but not a lot. And the rest, they just want to chew up clock and ride you. And it's boring as all hell to watch. It's a problem in the sport. I mean, it's absolutely brutal to sit there and watch, but it's within the rules at this point until refs grow the balls to start calling the top guy for stalling. And you got to get out. That's the bottom line. We got to get out. And we didn't. So we need some more urgency there, or whatever you want to call it. But you're not going to win when you give up riding time. And we got ridden really hard in 2 dual meets, and we got to address that.
I feel like there's been a big shift in where stalling's called at. I feel like it used to be always called on top. If you were on top of the hips, 10, 15 years ago, if you were on the hips for 20, 30 seconds, you were getting told action, or and you were getting banged for stalling. Now it's because tilting is such a big thing that they think you're working for something. But the only time I saw Tom was against
locker room. The ref came into our locker room before the match and said, I'm going to call you, if you're sitting on top and you're not trying to turn, I'm going to call you for stalling. And then in the 174-pound match, Clay Phil gets called for stalling while he's getting ridden with legs. After the match, I told the ref, I said, that's the opposite of what you said in the locker room. You said you were going to call the top guy for stalling if he wasn't trying to turn. And he just said, I disagree. That was his response. I disagree. And I go, have fun with yourself and go ref a match, whatever. But it wasn't great officiating. And I don't agree with letting the top guy lay on you. It's boring. It's bad for the sport. But we've got to get off bottom.
Yeah. Another, I thought, good note from that match, you already kind of talked about it, Dalton Harkins at 165. Yeah. He looked great, man. He looks like I know he's a freshman, he's a prep school guy. He looks like a full 165 pounder. He looked like when he put his hands on that Iowa State guy, he looked like a strong freaking guy.
So he's strong, but he probably weighs, to put on the scales right now, he weighs 166 pounds. He doesn't cut weight at all.
Wow.
Yeah. He's strong. And yeah, like he got tired in that match. He felt the nerves. I mean, his first road trip with the team, and he's leading off a duel.
Takedown in the first 20 seconds.
I missed the first takedown. I was like, oh shoot, what happened?
He had 6 matches the next day, so he wrestled 7 matches in 2 days.
Yeah, he took 4th at the Cyclone Open.
Yeah. But like he showed a lot of improvement. He got a takedown. He wrestled 7 matches and got takedowns in all 7 matches.
Yeah.
Over the weekend. And keep in mind, he's a freshman. He was at prep school last year. They didn't wrestle last year.
That's right.
I mean, he's young in his college experience right now. So he's learning. His attitude's phenomenal. Like he's competitive, but not in a crybaby type way. Like you can tell losing bothers him, but it doesn't throw a fit. So he's got a mature attitude and he wants to get better. So yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch and enjoy working with him.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go, Tyler.
Yeah, I was gonna go to PJ next, man. PJ looks great. In the match against Dejan, he looked phenomenal. That guy looked like a super scrambly, long guy that's gonna like grab your ankles and reverse like takedowns, and PJ just didn't give any room to scramble. Both those dumps were awesome. So PJ, yeah, big plus on the weekend.
Confident too, right? The scouting report going over the match plan with him beforehand. Not to have high crotch on that guy. He's really good. If you hit a high crotch, your head's on the outside. PJ said, "What about fireman's my dunk?" I said, "If you feel it, hit it." He's like, "Okay." And then it looked like in the second or third period, whenever he felt it, he didn't hesitate. He hit it and he hit hard.
Yeah.
Good job for him. PJ's lungs are enormous. He doesn't get tired. He loves to wrestle hard. So he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. And then before that, we're kind of going in reverse, but Sanchez, you kind of touched on it too. He looked really tough. He that third period, I thought he had a great third period. All his movement, his attacks, you could hear it on the feed, the whole Army bench calling for Stalin, because the guy he was wrestling was just trying to survive. After that almost cradle.
And he did, and the guy did survive, I think, what I told Sanchez after that match was like, if you would have believed you could win that match at the start the way you did at the end, it's a completely different match.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an experience thing. But listen, Julian Sanchez works really hard, and he's a tough guy. Like he will not complain. He doesn't whine. He doesn't pout. He's a tough guy. Like Army wrestling appreciates Julian Sanchez because he's got that tough attitude. He's quiet, but he's tough.
Shout out. He took 3rd at the Cyclone Open the next day. So we went back out and had another good day.
Yeah. I mean, really close that first round match too. Just, against a tough kid there the next day. Just wasn't able to close it out. But important thing for him is that he continues to get better. I mean, listen, it is still November.
Yeah.
That's wild, that we've wrestled the competitions we have and it's still November. So we've got December, January, February, which can be a lot of time if you use it with some urgency. So he's going to continue to get better. We have 3 really good 141. We have 4 really good 141 pounders, but we took 3 of them on that trip. And Thomas Deck and Sanchez and Corey Shy are all kind of neck and neck right now, 141 pounds.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's good. One of them is going to separate themselves, before the end of the year, and we love them all. They're all the guys there work really hard. Zach Kills there too, is really tough. They work really hard. They compete hard. We're going to coach them hard, and whoever separates himself is going to be there in the end.
So kind of transitioning from the Iowa State duel into the Iowa and kind of all that. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you have watched the videos of how that transpired. But talk to us a little bit about the logistics of how that changed things, because obviously a bunch of guys thought that they were going to go wrestle in an open tournament. That changed. Now some guys are going to an open tournament. Some guys are traveling. I don't even know how far it is. Talk about like the logistics a little bit, because I think everybody's well aware that you guys anywhere anybody will wrestle anybody. Tom Brands, you guys are best friends now.
So I mean, and listen, you've got to pay attention to my man Stalemates Look them up on Twitter and Instagram, the Stalemates Wrestling Show. They were with us, just kind of like following along, kind of getting embedded, look behind the scenes when this whole thing came up. So they have some awesome footage. Their show should be out like Tuesday or Wednesday of this week.
Awesome.
Look up Stalemates and they have some footage of it. But here's what happened. We leave to work out at Iowa State on Friday night. And Scott comes up to me and says, I just got a phone call. Tommy Brand's called. Oregon State's having some travel issues. They don't think they're going to be able to make it. He wants to know if we can send our number ones there and wrestle in a dual meet. And they're going to come back to us the next year. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Like we're walking out, the wrestlers are behind me. So we're kind of trying to whisper. And I was like, call him back and let's see if this is like a for real deal. Like if we say yes, is it guaranteed to happen? Or is Oregon State maybe going to make it and we're not going? Because I want to like be able to tell, like, I want to know, are we doing it or not? Conversations. So we decide on the bus ride home. I'm like, I want to do this for sure. I want to do it. It's going to be really hard on this team, but it's going to be awesome. I want to do it. And we asked the team, and tell them, hey, sometimes opportunities come up. Look, opportunity to go wrestle in Carver Hawkeye on Sunday. We can take 10 guys there, go and wrestle a dual meet against the defending national champs in a sold out arena. I want to do it. Do you guys want to do it? And they were like, let's go. And I said, yes, let's go. Joe, can you get us some transportation? Joe's on the phone. He's like, I already got it. On the phone, we got vans lined up. Vans take the guys to the tournament on Sunday, and a bus takes us to Iowa City. So we'd planned on wrestling in the dual meet Saturday, and then all 20 guys on the trip wrestling in the tournament on Sunday. Well, that changed, obviously. We took 11 to Iowa City on Sunday. So we only had 9 wrestling in the tournament. But hey, we were going to be there wrestling somewhere, and we had an opportunity to go wrestle in a really cool environment. So our guys said, LFG coach, let's do it. And we went. Yeah.
So how far is the drive from Iowa State to Iowa? Like what?
Yeah. 2 hours.
Oh.
Yeah, you could not have like scripted it any better. You could script it better because if we would have, won the dual meet, but up until that point, yeah, I mean, it worked out for us. So I appreciated them calling us, and I didn't have to say you need to come back to us next year. They offered that. I've always respected those guys as coaches. They have a hell of a program. Everybody knows that. But I just really appreciated, them saying, look, them recognizing that was a challenge. And, they said, yeah, we want to come. We're going to come out to you. We're coming to West Point next season. So I said, hell yeah, let's do it.
So which coaches went to Iowa and which one stayed at, Coach Green stayed at the tournament, right?
Him and Bobby Hild and Coach Ken, our strength coach, were at the Cyclone Open. So D'Angelo, Della Vecchia, myself, Colonel Gist all went to Iowa City.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to talk through the dual meet a little bit?
Yeah. At Iowa?
Yeah.
I mean, starting it off, like, Ryan Schaubin was like, I mean, again, questionable call there. You got to get a takedown to win a match, and we didn't get a takedown, but Schaubin's in the match overtime. I don't agree at all with the takedown, the way it was called. It was 3 seconds at most, maybe 3.0 seconds. It's an overtime match. I think Ybarra was exposed a little bit at some point in the scramble, which is supposed to kill the neutral danger zone count. You have 4 eyeballs between 2 refs watching that, and then they go to review and they can't see it. Listen, I can live with you're going to get called for stalling once or twice every single match you go there. You can live with that, but refs need to do a better job applying the rules. So, very close call. Didn't have to go the way it did in an overtime match. Stay out of it. Let them decide. You know what I mean? So didn't like that. I'd say at 33-41, we were outmatched, and it's okay to admit that. Their guys were better, and those guys are pretty elite, pretty special, especially at 41. He's really unique and has all the skills. It's a tough matchup. 49
is 41. Is he a guy that's got an extra year from the COVID year?
Well, everybody's got an extra year from the COVID year, but I think it's a 7th year, 6th or 7th year.
Yeah, he's a guy who otherwise would have already graduated and is now
Yeah, I
still.
mean,
Okay.
Yeah. And those guys are all over the
Half
country.
Iowa's team.
I mean,
Yeah,
this is, you know, you got to beat the guys that step out there on the mat. If they weren't allowed to be out there, they wouldn't be out there, you know, so it's not, it's against the rules. But when you look at, you know, we're a program, we don't have transfers, we don't have 5th, 6th, and 7th year guys. And so we have one of our guys wrestling a 7th year transfer. Yeah, you got to beat them. Like, the bottom line is, Corey Shy wants to be a national champ this year. He's got to beat that guy. The road goes through him. So I don't care if the guy's, you know, 19 years old or 29 years old. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, he's experienced. You can say that for sure. 49, PJ did a good job. You know, didn't maybe have the same pop that he had the day before. But, you know, I think what's that?
He did at the end.
Yeah, he did at the end. You know,
he'd rather throw him than know him.
He's confident. He knows himself, you know, and the guy got in there and BJ said, bink. And, you know, he just couldn't quite hold on to the arm to get the pin there. The arm was slipping out, and you obviously can't lock around the head without an arm. But PJ did a good job, wrestled with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and he just loves to compete, and it shows every time he steps out there. So good job. Marcus Hartman, 57. I mean, close bout, man, really close. So, you know, in the second period there, when I thought Marcus had back points, I still think he had back points. I think most people that watch the film think he had back points. The ref's explanation was the guy's head came off the mat. It's an interpretation I'd never heard. Something has to be touching the mat to have back points, he said. Some part of the other guy's body has to be touching the mat.
I thought you can see, even when his head does touch the mat, there's still, to me, it looked like a couple seconds, and the commentator even talked about it, that the commentators thought he was going to get back points because his back was exposed and the ref is running around to look, and we're all watching it on film, and we're like, it's an obvious 2 count at least.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got nothing.
So I walked back and get a drink of water during the review, and I was kind of talking to some of the fans there in the front row, and I was like, did we get it? You think we got it? And everybody up there on the front row, all the Iowa fans, like, yeah, you got back points. So pretty much everybody that watched it thought we had back points except the ref. I told Marcus, they're not giving you the back points. You know, like this ref, he's not going to overturn his call. I know it. But, you know, so I throw the brick when Marcus has 2 legs in there. So Marcus is going to ride it a little bit, break him down, but then they stop that action. It's just, you know, kind of a shitty deal there that cost him a couple points and, you know, another 20, 30 seconds of riding time. There's a lot of match left. Like, you got to win it. He got, you know, stall ridden to death in the 3rd period against that guy. And then when the guy finally gets called for stalling on top, and we're just about to get another stall call, and then Marcus does a front flip. You know, so frustrating there that he didn't execute what we coach. You know, like, Marcus has got to do a better job executing the things that we teach. He can do all the things in the world that are unique that he can do, but sometimes you just have to do what your coaches teach. Like, there's a reason we say stay on your feet and don't do a front flip. But he wants to win. He's a competitor. He just made a bad decision, you know, and that pretty much kind of sealed the match, because once you hit the mat against a stall rider, he's been on top of you for a minute and a half. You know, he's not going to stop. So that was a tough one. 65, you know, kind of got bullied around a little bit there. Stayed in the match, you know, wrestled through some positions. Looked like early on, Christian got really overwhelmed, and then started to see, like, oh, okay, well, I can wrestle back. You know, but just took too much damage, you know, and kind of fatigued there at the end just by taking so much damage early on. 74 was a surprise. I'll be honest. I didn't think that was going to happen. 84 again, you know, close match, bad decision at the end of the 2nd period to take that shot, and give up an easy takedown with about 5 seconds left. Just can't get an escape. Just, you know, but then at the end of the match, what'd you see Brad do? Got to the legs, then hesitated, and then almost finished, you know, with a second left. So we just got to clean some things up there with him. JT did a good job. That's a tough opponent. JT beat now for a couple times. And then, you know, Brandon Phillips, he's wrestled in 2 dual meets this year, and he's wrestled 2 world champions. So listen, man, that's a tough schedule for B. Phillips, because he's a tough guy. And we got to tell him, like, I promise you, Brandon, you're going to wrestle someone other than a world champ at some point this season. So you got to, like, man, don't get down on yourself. Those guys are really good. You got to learn from it and move forward. But all in all, look, you know, we won a couple bouts and we're in a position to win another 3. I think, you know, that, you know, but we didn't. So it's a cheap shot. It's woulda, shoulda. We didn't get it done. We got to learn from it, move forward. Tough schedule. So what I told the guys is, I don't know if it was a good experience or not. Like, it will only be a good experience if we get better from it. So now what are we going to do to turn that into a good experience? It was either a good experience or an ass kicking. What do you want it to be? Like, your response is going to determine, was that a good experience or did you just go lose a dual meet? Like, what's it going to be? So we have work to do from this point.
How are you guys running practice now in season? Are the guys coming in the mornings and the afternoon? Or I know the class schedule for the team has shifted around a couple times.
Yeah, it's the mornings are a little tougher now because they start class earlier than they did when you were here, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this week and for the rest of the semester is going to be a lot more individual work. Like, I don't think we're going to have a team practice the rest of this week. It'll be all individual work, some being really flexible with their schedules. We'll tell them the work they need to get in. They'll tell us when they're coming in to do it. Because we got to start focusing on, you know, the top guys and what it's going to take to make a difference in their wrestling.
Yeah. Well, I also want to, before we get away from the wrestling for the weekend, I want to give a shout out to some of the guys who aren't always necessarily in the lineup. 133, Rich Trainer, is that the same name, right?
Yeah.
Third at the Cyclone Open. Looked like he won some tough matches. Yep. Good for him. And then Nate Luquez. I know no one ever wants to take second, but he took second at the Cyclone Open. So the B Squad, you know, the B Squad is close to my heart, and the B Squad is looking good.
These guys are good. Richie's a freshman. Luquez is a sophomore.
Yeah.
And these are true freshmen and sophomores. Listen, Nate Luquez, nobody knew Nate Luquez. Nate Luquez didn't even qualify for the state tournament in high school. Tough state in Pennsylvania. You know, he would have been a state champ in a lot of states, but, you know, to go from not even qualifying to the state tournament to beat the opponents that he's already beaten this season. I mean, and he's got a 3.9 something GPA. Like this kid, the way he works in wrestling is the way he works in everything that he does.
Yeah.
Like it's I want to say it's amazing, but it's not. It's just really impressive hard work. And Nate Luquez will give you everything he's got every single day. So
I said it earlier, it's a good problem for you to have those kind of guys in the locker room and practicing with like a training partner for Marcus Hartman, if you want to call him that. And Harkins, who's around that weight. Like, there's just so many tough guys in the room that it speaks to how far the program has come to back to when I was back there a few short years ago.
What, you mean when you and Nate Dow were throwing punches over there?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think the throwing punches is more figurative now than literal. When it was back then, like, we were literally going out and throwing punches and giving up penalty points and stuff. And now the B Squad's going out and winning tournaments. So it's awesome.
We did. Did you guys see that at the what tournament was that? Millersville?
Shorty Hitchcock.
Yes.
Oh, you bet your ass I saw that.
Yeah.
Coach, you should have heard us. So I'm talking to Tyler on the phone like 30 minutes before we started this. And he's driving back from jiu-jitsu class. And he's like, this better be good tonight because I left jiu-jitsu class early. And I can tell he's all fired up. And we start talking about, you know, alumni and all kinds of shenanigans. And he's like, you know what, when I was there, it's like, if anybody put up with some BS when I was in the room, I would just tell him to fight me. He's like, let's settle this right here. And I'm like,
that's not exactly how the conversation.
That's exactly how it went.
But we were talking to the culture of a wrestling room, and that it's an environment where, like, there's no drama, because if you need to settle anything, I mean, we're literally in a wrestling room. Like, we don't have to have a problem. We can settle it right here.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully that culture, you know, that part of our culture is still the same. Like, you got problems, like, settle it. You're gonna be boys again when you leave.
And
yeah. That exists, and the guys are good at wrestling now.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you mentioned you know, some of the other guys that did well at the Cyclone Open. How did you kind of, did you know like the lineup going into the Iowa duel, and did that impact change, I guess the decision to bring some people to one versus the other change the lineup?
I mean, going into the Iowa, we didn't know about the Iowa duel until Friday night. So, no, I just said, listen, we're gonna have to make some lineup decisions. If we don't have to make them all right now, but be prepared for both, and it was obvious who was going to go to at some weights. Like, I mean, where we brought one guy, like they were going. OG was going, Marcus was going, and then filled in Laughlin and JT were going. The other 5 weights, we, like talked about as a coaching staff, what do we think is the best thing for each individual, gives them a good opportunity and kind of balances things out. Made some pretty quick decisions. We all looked at each other and said, okay, sounds good. We agree. Let's go with it. So we just kind of made the decisions right there on that spot. Yeah. Didn't know. I mean, my first priority was trying to win the dual meet at Iowa State. So I was like, let's put our team out that's going to win this dual meet. I thought we had a chance to do it. We had a chance to do it. I don't care what the score said there at the end, there were some close bouts. So it was, let's put our guys out that we think can help us win the dual meet. And then, and then we'll kind of make any adjustments if we have to about who's going to Iowa. Like Soley didn't wrestle at Iowa. He's been kind of banged up. It's like he's getting back into it right now. He had 1 match this season. So we knew he was probably going to get 1 match on the trip. Put him out there against Iowa State to help us win the dual meet. He did his job, and but wasn't going to wrestle, more than 1 match on the trip.
He's undefeated.
Yeah. Let's keep it up.
Oh man. So kind of looking ahead. Next competition, Rutgers next weekend.
Yeah. It's on Friday night. So we wrestle next Friday and at Rutgers, and then the Army Navy football game is like 30, 40 minutes away from there on Saturday. So it'll be a good opportunity for us to be able to hit both, let our guys enjoy and experience that football game as well. So yeah, Rutgers, I mean, another really tough opponent, ranked guys up and down their lineup. Haven't looked into them or scouted them much at this point, but I know they're going to be really good. They're going to be tough. They're going to be in a rowdy home gym. So another fun environment to go compete in. We'll be looking forward to it, but we're going to have to, like, if we have to win those tough battle matches, like there's a difference. PJ won a tough battle match against Iowa State. He didn't have to win that match against Iowa, because he kind of handled the guy. But we need to win the battle matches, not just the matches that are, where you outmatched the guy and you're going to beat him. Like, we need to win those matches where it's neck and neck. Both guys are evenly matched, or they may even be a little bit better than us, and we've got to outbattle somebody to win. We have to win those types of matches if we're going to try to win a dual meet against a team like Rutgers.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll be in attendance for the Rutgers duel, and I'm really pretty pumped now that I'm only an hour away.
All right. I'll have you on the pass list, B-Row.
Appreciate that. I was going to ask you off air, but.
What else you got, B-Row?
That's all I got for tonight. I think we got pretty in depth, and I think some of the fans, that was some of the feedback I got after the last update. I was like, okay, I need to ask some more specific questions and get a co-host that asks more specific questions as well. So
B-Row, I think you're doing a hell of a job, man. You're doing a fantastic job. People don't understand that you're taking away, like, I mean, you're not getting paid for this. You're volunteering to help spread the message of Army wrestling. So hopefully, our however many dozens of listeners we have now, are grateful for you not only having this idea, but then putting it together. And without you, this show doesn't happen. So listen, when you get to the point where people start criticizing you, you're starting to make it. Like, you need more people criticizing you, because that means people are paying attention, and now there's an expectation for you. So if anybody criticizes you on your show, take that as a compliment that they're paying attention, and you built something that people care about. So that's a good thing.
I'm fired up. About to go up to the gym and work out.
No, because you already got your workout in earlier. You texted Tyler and I both a snapshot of your workout. We know this. Are you going to go work out again?
I might. I got a little sweat going now after that little monologue you just gave me.
Yeah.
I got one more thing. I did looking through my notes. I missed one shout out to Matt Williams, Cyclone Open champ.
Matt Williams,
congrats,
he's on the Stock Up report. Matt Williams, again, one of those guys that great win for him at that tournament because that's a good kid that he beat. A lot of respect for him. We watched him in high school and probably tried to recruit him a little bit. And Matt Williams is a guy that, didn't get a chance to wrestle his senior year. He wrestled in the district tournament as a senior in high school, and then COVID shut down the state of Ohio. And he has just been a lot of fun to work with because he's 0 matches last year. And now this year, he's excited to compete, and he keeps getting better every competition.
Awesome.
Yep. Well, man, I appreciate you guys, and anyone who's paying attention out there listening, appreciate you. Stay behind the team, and these guys are working hard, man. They love embracing the challenge of a tough schedule. They're not satisfied with where they're at. I promise you that. We're just excited to stay in the battle and keep getting better.
Yeah, can't wait. I mean, we'll try to do another one of these after the Rutgers duel, kind of before the break. As you guys have a little bit of time in between then and mid.
Okay. All right, on, fellas.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you hopping on, Tyler. You killed it. I feel like you're going to be running the show at some point.
No, that's not true, man.
Just work yourself into another job, Nick, please.
Just happy to be here.
Right on. All right, fellas. Y'all take care.
All right. See ya.
Go Army.
Beat everyone.
Oh.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.